Our final day to kick off our Friday sessions is insights on predicting buyer timing and presenting offers that move metal. Leading the charge this morning is Jay Humfeld, manager and field client consultant, working with hundreds of dealers around the country on a daily basis. So, Jay, welcome to the Vision stage.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get into it. So, with your weekly dealer visits, what are some of your observations on some of the untapped opportunities that you're seeing constantly?
Yeah, what I see a lot, is when I'm pulling up to the dealerships, I'm seeing 5, 10, 15 sales guys just standing out on the point, waiting for the opportunities to come up, waiting for the up bus, which, let's be honest, ran out of gas back in COVID, right? So we have a bunch of guys that are just standing there waiting for customers to come, and then when the customer does come, it's like a free for all. So it's not a very good experience for the customer. It's a little intimidating, if you will. And no matter how many times we talk to the dealers about that, it's still something that they like on the bullet point there. It's something we've always done.
Right.
So it's a little frustrating from our point when we go in and we show them ways that they can actually be proactive instead of reactive, and they're still
Right.
standing out on the
And
point.
do you feel like dealers still kind of have the sort of COVID hangover
I
from, what it was then, what it is now, and what their next step should be?
I do, and with that as well, I see a lot of newer salespeople that maybe started in COVID, and they just they just sold cars. They didn't have
Right.
to use any software systems, anything like that. So now they have to learn
They
CRMs. They
have to
have to
sell.
learn equity mining tools.
Yep.
They actually have to sell now. Yeah. So when you're relying on that up bus to come, you're basically waiting for lease maturities to come up, service advisors to upsell, and let's be honest, that's not happening enough, right? And
Not
then the
nearly enough.
customers, yeah, the customers have to self-identify, and they don't know when they're in an equity position. They don't know unless they're doing their research themselves. So it's not a good process to have. That's why we're really trying to move them into tools that can help be more proactive instead of reactive, because if you're not doing it, your competitors are.
Absolutely.
So some of the disadvantages of the up bus, like I said, is it's really a reactive thing instead of proactive, and that's just not a good use of the time. Not to mention, you're also if you're using an equity mining tool, you're contacting people that are in equitable positions, which are studies have shown easier to close, higher grosses on them, and those customers tend to typically trust you more because they've done business with you before. And like that final bullet point on there, it's just a poor customer experience to pull on a lot and have a bunch of people just waiting for you to get out of your car. It even happens to me. I get out of the car as a vendor partner. I have a computer in my hand, and I got 5 guys coming up to me. Hey, how can I help you? What are you looking to see? What are you looking for? And it's a little intimidating.
Yeah. So to summarize that, it really comes down to less standing around and more engaging and picking up the phone and really driving those interests.
Absolutely. If I say this to stores all the time, if I were to ever to go back to sell cars, I would never leave my desk unless I was doing a delivery. There's so many tools out there where you can be proactive and go after customers instead of just waiting for them. So yeah, they need to pick up the phone. They need to start using the tools. And like this slide here says, customers in a positive equity position, that's 30 to 40% of their customer base, and they're not even tapping into those. Those are lost opportunities. If you go into a typical dealership example here, now this dealership here has about, I think it's 12,000 active customers. So going on the previous slide, we're saying about 35 to 40% are in equitable positions. So that's 4,200 people roughly. We're only working 10 to 15% of them. So that's 700 customers. That means we're ignoring 3,500 customers that are in equitable positions. And at a conversion rate is about 5% to be conservative. That's 175 ignored opportunities.
Wow. So a dealer that does that well, you said when it's not working well, they're engaging with 15 to 20%. A dealer that does it well, where are they at in that percentage?
They're well, again, with their closing rate about 5%. We have stores that are doing 100, 200 cars a month using equity mining tools. Their closing rates are higher. They typically, again, the customers trust them more because they've done business with them before, and they're reaching out to customers that are in a position, and they're not wasting their time on the IML leads or the ILM leads, excuse me, that are going to beat them to death trying to negotiate numbers. These are trusted customers. They've worked for
Right.
them before, so
Yep.
it's And that's just a small number. That's a conservative number, right? That's a small store with 12,000 customers in the DMS. You get some of these bigger stores that are doing 300, 400 cars a month.
Right.
That's a lot of customers you're missing.
Yep.
So what we typically do when we go onto stores, we have two tools that can really go after these customers. We have an equity mining tool called Quote, and we have a service lane appraiser tool. So what that service lane appraiser tool does, this is one of our greatest products in my opinion. So the service to sales aspect is we're always trying to convert people from the service department into sales. The reality is you put somebody in that position and they don't stay there long. They start doing really well, they get promoted, or they're not doing really well, then they're shown the door.
Sure.
So we miss a lot of opportunities of people coming into this in the service department. Not only that, if you look at, I just talked to a dealer yesterday that's in the middle of South Dakota. His closest auction is, a couple hours away. So now you start looking at transportation costs, you start looking at auction fees, you start looking at all those other things that go into it, which increases the cost of the car, which we kind of want to keep down. So
Right.
presenting a good offer at the right price is key. So what our service lane appraiser does is whenever somebody comes through the service lane and then RO is opened, they get a text message. I'm going to paraphrase, but it's basically, "Hey, thanks for coming in. Would you be interested in a free, no obligation trade appraisal?" So we kind of walk them through the steps. Sure, yeah, yeah, I'll take a trade. I mean, let's be honest, people only get trade appraisals for three reasons, right? They're in the market, or you know what, I could be if the number's right. I guess I never really thought about it. Or the third one is you got a 16-year-old wanting to know what his Mustang's worth, right? So
Mhm.
this tool allows us to attack two of the three of there, and it allows us to give an offer on every car that we're coming in. So here's a typical dealer example right here. You can see that this dealer has had 104 ROs come in. Four people, and this was just in a couple days, four people indicated interest, and one person said, "Yeah, tell me more." So we're hitting every customer that comes in. We're not waiting on the point. We're not waiting for customers. We're not hoping to get a phone up. We're not waiting for an internet lead to come in that they're going to beat us up to death. So this is, I mean, it touches everybody. So when we're talking presenting offers, this is a key product that we have.
Right. And you're going to get some of those service customers who they've had their car for maybe, 4, possibly 5 years. We know these vehicle owners, they're hanging on to their cars longer. They may not even realize that they have equity,
Yeah,
even to five, seven, $10,000.
Yeah, and that's a great example too. When we're standing on the point, and I keep going back to that. They don't know when they're in equitable positions unless they're actively doing it. So they're just waiting and hoping for, and either till I see the next commercial of a car I want, or maybe somebody will send me an offer. So they don't know. So this
Right.
actively goes after them and tries to put them in a position where, hey, I'll take a look at that. Another tool that we have is our quote tool. So when we're talking about actively going after customers and sending them offers that we can try to move some metal. This is another great tool to do it. It shows us who's all coming into our service lane on our service appointments, if they're in a potential equitable position or not. And let's be honest, right? We see some red numbers on this screen, and red typically can scare some people away, but it's 2026. We're all used to spending more money now, right? So I
Sure.
see a car payment that goes up 100, $200. Is it a deal breaker? Probably not,
Right.
right? And then along with that, when you look in the tool, you can look at the service history and you can see the RO spend and how much money they're spending. So you add that all up. I mean, it helps in your salesmanship, if you
Right.
will, when you're talking to the customer. But you have all the information in front of you to present them an offer that is, potentially a deal.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second. So when these offers are presented, we have the ability to show that customer different payment options, up by $50, up by $100, up by
Mhm.
$200, and then showing them what that looks like for that customer. Right. We have control that we could then roll those offers out.
We do to an extent. I mean, you got to remember that the users of this tool are mostly salespeople.
Hmm.
So we don't want to give the salespeople the opportunity to quote unquote desk the deal,
Right.
but we do want to give them the ability to, let's say, actually, no, I owe this much more in my trade. So they can go in and manipulate the numbers a little bit, but ultimately it's always an estimated, right? Because we don't know if that customer rolled the payments on the
Right.
end, right? We don't know if their credit has gone down. We're kind of fishing at this point. We're saying based on the original DMS data, this is where we think you should be.
Right.
And then they can go in and they can make those changes. So if you look at this screen here, I don't have it on there, but there's a button right above that 30,000 that says you can do like a custom quote, and that's where they can do that. But if you look at this is really important, because when I'm training stores and we're looking at, well, the payment's going to go up $200 or the payment's going to go down, or I don't really see that this is an opportunity. Well, right there, when I first open up the screen, I can see that they're out of factory warranty. They're out of their extended warranty, how many miles they have on the vehicle. So even if I can't take them to, I'm not really interested in another car. Well, did you know you have no more warranty on your car? So there's still some salesmanship that has to come in and some detective work that they have to do, but we give them all the information they have right here. So when we're talking about presenting offers that move metal, this is a good one. It's telling them everything they need to know on that customer. We also break down how many payments they have remaining, what their APR is, what essentially vehicle we're going to move them into. And we're not just shooting from the hip here. We're assuming that they liked the vehicle they're in. So if they're driving a Toyota RAV4, we're going to try to give them another RAV4, right? We're not going to give them a Toyota RAV4 and a Prius, right? But and here's that, excuse me, that add that custom quote. That's where you can do it. But it breaks down all the deal information here. So we're presenting them with numbers that we feel they would be interested in. They're in equity, or maybe a little negative equity, but not bad. But it's still better. It's
Oop.
that match what we think that they're going to be in. So we're not just shooting from the hip, sending them random vehicles. We know that these people are in a position. We're not waiting for customers to just hopefully come in. So we're targeting people by using this.
Right.
Now, the other port to that too is, no matter how much we show this, right? We'll go back to that store sometimes and they're still out waiting on the point. And then I come in, and as what I do when I try to train, coach, and consult them, I pull up a screen like this and shows me that, wow, in this little time frame, this dealer still missed 29 people that were sitting with lower payment options. Now they did work 257, so kudos to them, right? I'll take 29 missed on those numbers. That's a pretty good
Sure.
ratio. But out of those 29, would it be fair to say that there's maybe one, if not two deals in there based on closing percentages? So you see, there's a lot of opportunities. The problem is that we still just keep going back to our old habits, and that's what we're really trying to get people away from, starting to utilize tools. Like I mentioned before, it's the COVID people that just had to say, press real hard, third copy's mine. Now they actually have to start using the tools and the software.
That's awesome.
The other part of this tool too is to make it easy for these guys. Is if I'm not going to just be waiting on my service drive, I want to look for some low hanging fruit. I want to look for people that I think would be in. On our home screen here, I can see people that are coming up on leases. They're coming up on their final payments remaining. Now this data isn't always, and there's no tool out there that's going to be 100% accurate. I can't tell you if that person sold the car to ABC down the store, but it does still give me an opportunity to reach out to these people. So when I'm talking to dealers and I say, was that a little over 1,000 people that their loan is coming up. So let's cut that in half. Right, let's say 500 of those people no longer are they own that car, they're in something else, right? So now I have 500 people left. Out of that 500 people, let's cut that in half. So I'm not interested. I like my car. I don't have a car payment anymore. I want to keep it. So now I'm down to 250. Now cut that 250 in half to 125. I got people that just hang up on me. I can't get a hold of. Their contact information's gone. So I got about 100 and some people there. Is it still not worth picking up the phone and calling all of these people to just try, put them in a different process in your CRM, move them down the road? So I'm actually going after customers where I know they might be interested in 6 months. They
Sure.
might be interested in a year. So it's a really good opportunity to again, be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, and otherwise that's 3 to 4 new sales that you otherwise wouldn't have seen.
Yeah. And like we talked about before, I mean, there's on that dealership example, I mean, that's 175 units that, on just that example that they're potentially missing. And if you're averaging 2 grand to 2,500 a copy, I'm not a math guy, but that's a lot,
Yeah.
right? That's a lot of money that we're losing. And not only that is, when I start looking at how well we do with targeting customers that are in equitable positions, not only are we closing the deals faster at an average of 4.5 months, and this is data from all of our stores last year, that on an average we're closing them 4.5 months. I mean, that's good, right? I'm moving metal faster. I'm presenting the right offers, but
Yeah.
I'm also, as you can see on the top here, I'm also averaging extra $691 a copy. So if I'm doing 4.5 months faster, I'm moving a couple more cars a month at an average of 691 more on top of the 2 or 22 I'm averaging a copy. That's a lot of money, and that's by targeting the right people and not waiting for customers.
Right. And when you look at that, the sales driven on a monthly basis, quarterly, and even annually, the ROI for the quote tool is phenomenal.
It's yes, and one thing I learned a long time ago being a partner with dealers is we can never you never say I sold 10 cars for you last month. It's the quickest way to get thrown out of a store, right? They
Right.
sold it. They were already working that person. There's 100 different examples, but would it be fair to say that if our data shows that we sold 100 cars for you, and we have a ton of dealers that do it, but let's say I sold 100 cars last month using the quote tool, and it shows us when I contacted them, when they bought, how much my gross was. So if they did 100 cars and you're not going to give me credit for 100, that's fine. Give me credit for 20%. If I helped you with 20% of those, so 20 cars that we 100% influence that buyer decision, and you're averaging 2 grand a copy, I know our product isn't that much money,
Yep.
right? Compared, so the ROI is absolutely there, but they have to use it, and that's the core problem. Is we keep going back to the old way. But if we start utilizing the tools for what they're for, I mean, look at the data doesn't lie,
Yeah. I
and
mean, one unit sold covers the cost.
yeah, it could absolutely, and especially because the targeted customers and the equitable customers typically have higher grosses per copy anyway because of the trust. You're not going back and forth. It's the right car. You're targeting them. You're not just kind of shooting from the hip.
Right.
So yeah,
And that's huge.
that is huge. Yep. So some of the things that we hear from dealers is, I don't, I know I got service customers, but I don't know how to get them right. So these are some of the common complaints we got, or not complaints, but concerns, I would say. And if you look at it, I mean, we just addressed all those, right? We
Yep.
can attach everybody. We can touch everybody that's come through the service drive. We have targeted quotes. We can build filters. One of my favorite ones to build right now is I show dealers this all the time. So we're coming up on the end of the COVID cycle of buying cars, right? When we were all these people that are typically holding cars for 44 or 48 months, whatever the case is, they're the COVID buyers, right? So they're getting back in the market now. So what I like to show dealers to do is, well, let's go do a targeted filter where we're going to look for anybody that's got 8% or more APR, right? You would be amazed how many customers pull up. I pulled up a dealership yesterday that had 8% or more, and I didn't even go into has equity or anything like that, just 8% or more. And there's
Right.
5,500 customers that have 8% or more APR. Again, never leave my desk unless I'm doing a demo
Yep.
or doing sale. I mean, that right there, I'm smiling and dialing. I can campaign to them. I can do that right there. That's going to keep you busy for a long
Absolutely.
time.
Well, and we know the effect that, a better interest rate is going to have comparable to like an 8%, for
Oh,
instance, they may be able to get into the same payment for a 2026 model.
absolutely. And going back to the salesmanship of it, if the salesperson is good at their job and they can reach out to that customer and they take that approach about, hey, I noticed you were here 3 years ago, whatever the case is, and I was doing some research. Man, I cannot move. You're gonna edit that out, right?
Yeah.
All right. So clear, got me. All right, all right. So I noticed you bought a car 3 years ago, and I was just kind of going over your information, and I noticed that we're at maybe a little bit of higher APR than we liked at the time. I may have something for you that we can get you in a new car,
Right.
get you at a much lower rate. Now they're looking at not so much they're not coming off as a salesperson. They're coming off as they're truly there to help the customer, right? I want to get you a lower rate, 8% on a payment every month for 60 months. It's a lot of money.
It is.
But so it makes them look like they're truly looking out for that customer's best interest. So using the filter aspect of an equity mining tool it's hands down worth its weight in gold.
Right. And sometimes it's even worth a conversation with the customer about an 8% rate on a vehicle versus a 5% rate on a vehicle. That means you can explain to them that, hey, within that 60-month period, you're going to be in equity on this new vehicle faster because that total amount you're paying for interest is less.
Absolutely. And what you're doing at that point is you're also becoming, you're gaining a customer for life. If you can show that to the customer and show them the amount of money they're saving, I mean, you're pipelining that guy down the road for another 5 years, right? This guy's going to trust you. You've worked with them, you helped them out. So going back to the salesman stuff, if you are there to truly help them, you're gaining customers for life.
Yep.
So on this screen right here, I just wanted to point this out too, is these are just some of our stores that we're using our equity mining tool. I mean, we have a store that sold over 1,000 cars last year just using
Wow.
an equity mining tool. Now, again, we're never going to get credit for all that, right? But I'll cut that in half. I'll take credit for 500.
Sure.
100%. And if you look at the grosses and you look at, how much money these guys are bringing in, it's the grosses are higher. The sales times, the sales process is quicker. It's just an overall better way to attract customers and present them with the right offers at the right time.
Right. And typically those are the dealers who are using the tool the way it should be used. They're checking it every day. They're working with our team
Yep.
to make sure that best practices are in place. Their team is trained up, and they're going in and doing everything they can to really drive those quality trades.
Absolutely. So, when you get into the store, you get into the showroom at 9 o'clock in the morning, instead of opening Facebook or Instagram and seeing what's happening around the world, log in and see what happened yesterday. See how many
Yeah.
people came through your service lane yesterday and got an offer, right? So when you get an offer, why are we not calling these people?
Yep.
And another good strategy I like to tell people is, well, the first thing you're going to hear when you call that customer is, we presented you an offer. What did you think? Oh, that number sucks. Right? The number's never good enough for the
Right.
customer, right? And I understand that. But if I have the ability and the time at 9 o'clock in the morning when it's not really busy to go check the DMS to find out what that customer did in the service plan yesterday, and let's say they declined 4 new tires, they declined new brakes. Well, that kind of justifies that number a little bit more when I pick up the phone. So a little bit of detective work, a little bit of the salesmanship, you know, it really is a good tool to
Yeah.
have.
And it's especially important for those dealers who do have a high volume of vehicles coming into the service lane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're doing there's dealers that do 20. I had a store that does 20 ROs a day, and I've had stores that do upwards of 250, 300 ROs a day. Now, if you're doing 250 ROs a day and you're sending a message to every one of those people, targeting these people, uh, I mean, think about how many opportunities you're creating every day.
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
It's huge.
And instead of just waiting for someone to go onto a third party site and submit a lead, their customers, they average, I can't remember the latest statistics, but I think it's 2.5. They visit 2.5 dealerships or 2.5 websites, something like that. Well, they're shopping and they're doing their,
Right.
their research, right? So let's just nip that in the bud and let's just go right after them.
Yeah. And again, we don't want to be waiting for the ups bus.
That up bus is not coming back, man. People think it is, but it's not. It especially with fuel prices, it's
Yeah.
gone.
All right. It is incredibly competitive in the market to secure those trades and also, avoid the auctions where possible. We really need to impress upon the dealers on how important it is to give these customers the offers, whether it's in the service lane or through the quote tool. And AI and technology is really simplifying that process, but you still need that human touch, right? You got AI that's driving it. You see your trade prediction scores, but you still need the processes and the people in place to make all those things work incredibly well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that are big believers in digital retailing. I don't think we're there yet. I think the automotive industry is a little bit behind when it comes to the digital retailing aspect because it is. You need that human interaction. We still need it. You need that person to do the demo. You need that person to answer questions. The automotive industry it's definitely it's a relationship type business.
Excellent. Well, Jay, I want to thank you for joining me on the Affinitiv Vision stage today.
I appreciate it. Thank
And
you.
for anyone that would like to learn more about Affinitiv Quote or Service Lane Appraiser, visit us today, get your demo, or see us online at affinitiv.com. Thank you.
Thank you.